So here we are on page 30, and we're going to be working through Jingle Bells. Now, at first, this might seem like a pretty large piece because, as you can see, it has 4 systems. System number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So at first, let's go through what we know. We know that each of the systems has 4 measures, measures 1, 2, 3, 4. System 2 measures 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. But one thing we can observe if we look carefully is that there's a lot of repetition. For example, in System 1, you can see this material, and then the exact same material comes back in System number 3. So that means that if we learn System 1, we've already learned System 3 automatically, which means 50% of the piece is done. Now, looking at System 2, which is different clearly from Systems 1 and 3, we can also observe that in System 2, the first 2 measures repeat down in System 4. So these 2 measures are the same here as they are there. So once we learn these 2 measures, we've automatically learned those 2 measures. So the only real contrast between these groups of systems are these 2 measures compared to these 2 measures. So those are the preliminary observations that we can make. So to go forward, let's start working through this. For one thing, we can see that we do have to play some material with both hands at the same time. Remember that when you have a grand staff, which is indicated by this bracket joining the 2 staves, the treble and the bass staff, anything that's vertically aligned, for example, this spot right there, or that spot right there, or this spot here and this spot there, these are all simultaneities, which means that you play the right and the left hand in those spots at the same time. So let's go through each system individually, and then we'll put the whole thing together. So in the first system, let's make sure that we know what the notes are. So in measure 1, we have a repetition of E 3 times, and then E again, and then E, G, C, D, E. And this is all in the 4th octave. So we know that to play the right hand, we're going to move our hand into the 4th octave. So the 5-finger position with the thumb on C4, 2nd finger on D, 3rd finger on E, 4th finger on F, and 5th finger on G. So let's make sure that we understand the rhythms, and then we can play the right hand for system number 1. Quarter, quarter, half note. This repeats again in this measure, quarter, quarter, half note. In the 3rd measure, quarter, 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 and then this is a whole note, which is the equivalent of 4 quarters. So the whole is 4 quarters, just like the half here and the half there is the equivalent of 2 quarters. So we know that we have 4 quarters in the measure because of our time signature 4/4, and the dynamic marking is F, which stands for strong or forte. So if we play this, it'll sound like this. E, 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 and E, 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 and E, G, C, D, E. 2, 3, 4, release. Now let's take a look at the left hand. The left hand is actually very simple because you play only 2 notes, and remember that because they are aligned vertically, you play them at the same time. And as the authors of the book so kindly do, they tell you which notes they are. The lower whole note is C, and the upper whole note is G. This is C3, and that's G3 on fingers 1 and 5. So to play this, you simply put your left hand down into the 5-finger position on C3. So there's a 5th finger on C3, 4th finger on D, 3rd finger on E, 2nd finger on F, and thumb on G. And you press down on 5 and 1, or pinky and thumb at the same time. And that repeats for every measure in the first system. Now remember, these are whole notes, so they each take 4 beats or 4 quarters. So we're going to play the left hand as follows. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that was very easy. What is more challenging, of course, is to put the hands together. So we're going to try that right now. And actually, I'm going to see if I can get my daughter to help me. Clara. Hey, Clara. Can you come here and help me with something? This is especially for my students. So I can't really hold the camera and play with both hands at the same time. So off camera, my daughter is going to hold this while I play the first system. And she's going to keep the camera on the keyboard. Okay. Okay, so both hands in the position, C3 position here, C4 position there, and I'm going to play as follows. First I have to establish my beat. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release. And of course, the third system is exactly the same. So I'll play that just a little bit faster, and it sounds like this. Ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release. Okay, now I'm going to thank Clara for her service. Thank you very much. She'll come back when I have to demonstrate the second and the fourth systems. Oh my God, she says. So she's studying. It's okay. Yeah, I'm sure you guys are studying as well. So let's go on to the second system. So let's make some observations about this system. So first of all, we see that the left hand is a bit more dynamic, right? It has more changes than the left hand in the first system, but that's okay, we'll work through it. So in fact, let's start with the left hand because we're talking about it. So in the second system, in measure number 1, we have 2 whole notes. G is the top note, and D, or finger number 4, is the lower note. So in the left hand, we start by playing, again, we're in that C3 5-finger position, finger number 1 on G and finger number 4 on D. So we play these 2 fingers at the same time, and it sounds like this. And we hold that for 4 beats, and then you can see we go back to 1 and 5, which again are C and G, just like in the first system, and that sounds like this. That's in the next measure. 1 and 5, G for 1, C for 5. So the first 2 measures in the left hand of the second system sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. To continue, we have just 2 notes we have to worry about in the left hand. So that's D on finger number 4, and then this is G on finger number 1. So both of them are whole notes, so we play as follows. We play the 4th finger first. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the entire left hand for the second system, all the whole notes sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's switch over to the right hand. So the right hand, you see, has this continuous stream of quarter notes all the way until measure 4, where you have 2 half notes. So make sure that you slow down here, because each half note is the equivalent of 2 quarter notes. So don't get carried away with all those quarters leading up into it. So let's go through and make sure that we can identify the pitches. F, 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 E, 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 D, D, E, D, G. And again, you can hear that I am naming those pitches roughly rhythmically, right? That is, the quarters are worth 1 beat and the half notes are twice as long because they're worth 2 beats. So the fingering for this is, of course, all the Fs are finger number 4, and then we step down to finger 3, and then finger 2 for D, back to 3 for E, 2 for D, and then 5 for this G. So blocking it out, again with our right hand in the correct C4 position, sounds like this. So let's do that one more time, and this time I'm going to make sure that you can hear the beat leading up into it. So 1, 2, Ready, and 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2, and 5, and. And you can hear how at the end, when I play D and then G, or 2 and then 5, I'm making sure not to rush them because they are 2 half notes. Okay, remember what that looks like in the music. These 2 half notes right there. Okay, so now we have to put all this together. But before we do, I have one suggestion that I always ask my students, or that I recommend to my students. When you get to the first note of measure 2 and 3, because it's a repetition of the previous quarter, right? This F is repeated from here, and this E is repeated from there. I want you to put some stress on this first quarter note, or remember that's called the downbeat in these measures. So emphasize this downbeat in the right hand, and emphasize this downbeat in the right hand as well. So I'm going to play that one more time with the right hand only, stressing this note right there and this note right there, the F and the E. So it's going to sound like this. Ready, and 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2. Remember, those are half notes, so you have to wait. Okay, and now I'm going to play them together. So I have to ask my daughter to come back. Hey, Clara, can I please ask for your help? I know you're studying. I know she's making an exception for us. So you guys will have to just wait. She's making her way over. It's such a far distance to travel.
You can hear, right?
Okay, come here, Clara. Please help me out. And I'm going to ask you for one more time after this. So please hold this. So make sure that both of my hands are visible. So we're going to play, or I'm going to play, the second system with both hands together. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. Now, since we've gotten this far, we already know what System 1 sounds like, and of course we also know System 3 because they're the same. So what I like to try to do is play Systems 1, 2, and 3, one after the other. So this is 3/4 of the piece. Sounds like this. So Systems 1, 2, and 3. Ready, and. 2, 3, 4. Now, why did I stop there? Because everything thus far, including the first 2 measures of system number 4, we've already learned. So now we have to learn the last 2 measures of the piece. So I'm going to take the camera back from my daughter. She's going to come back one more time. If you guys were here, I'd say give her a big round of applause, but maybe you can do so at home on your own. So thank you, Clara. So let's take a look at system number 4. So the first 2 measures, as we've already established, are the same as the first 2 measures of system number 2. So for the sake of efficiency, we don't have to learn these again. Let's take a look at the last 2 measures. Now, arguably, these are the hardest 2 measures of the entire piece, because as you can see, the left hand plays 2 things, 2 half notes, whereas in every other measure of the left hand, you only play once, beginning on the first beat, or remember, that's called the downbeat. So here's what we're going to practice. We're going to practice these 2 measures in the left hand only. Now, you're familiar with these notes. This downbeat is D and G at the same time, or fingers 4 and 1. This is finger number 1, and then over here are fingers number 1 and 5. And by the way, if you've been wondering who put all this notation in, right? Who's been writing in the book? The truth is, I think I gave it to one student once, and that student may have been notating these things, because remember what I've asked you guys to do. Don't write anything in, because by doing so, you no longer read actively. It's more of a passive experience. So I prefer, as you know, when it's not particularly complicated, not to write anything in. But in any case, 4-1, 1, 1-5. So let's take a look at what that sounds like when we look at the keyboard. So we're in the 5-finger position starting with C3, and so we press down on 4 and 1. That's D and G. Then we lift slightly, press down on 1, and then press down on 1 and 5. So 1 over here on G and 5 on C. Okay, so let's play that. 1, 4, and 1, and 1, 5, 2, 3, 4. So remember these rhythms. We've got 2 half notes and then a whole note. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what you're going to do is you're going to practice several times playing this sequence. 1, 4, and 1, and 1, 5, 2, 3, 4, release. And you do that over and over again until you feel very comfortable with the left hand. Now let's take a look at the right hand. Now, not particularly challenging because everything is really spelled out for us. The fingers are 5, 5, 4, 2, 1. And the letters are G, G, F, D, C. So all quarters and then the whole note. So pretty straightforward. It sounds like this. 5, 5, 4, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, release. Pretty straightforward, right? Let's try that one more time. 5, 5, 4, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, release. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back and play the entire right hand for system number 4. So all quarters and then the whole note. So it sounds like this. 1, 2, ready, and 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 5, 5, 4, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, release. So practice that a couple of times. One more time. Release. Now, you probably heard that extra sound in the background, and that was the sound of the timer going off in the kitchen. So I don't want to walk away from the piano, but since I've been having my daughter volunteer, hey, Clara, can you turn the oven off, please? That's what happens when you have to do these little videos outside of the classroom. I have to coincide several things. Hey, Clara, can you turn the oven off, please? It's the rightmost dial to off. Yes. So now let's take a look at the left hand of this part. So the left hand, don't go too far because I'm going to ask you for a favor. So we know what we do here, right? These are whole notes on 1 and 4, and then 1 and 5, and then 1 and 4, 1 and 1, 5 as 2 half notes, and then the whole. So the left hand from here sounds like this. First it's 1 and 4, and then it's 1 and 5, and then a slightly faster pace, 1, 4, 1, 1, 5. Okay, so let's do that in time. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 5, 2, 3, 4, 1, 4, and 1, and 1, 5, 2, 3, 4, release. All right, now since Clara is not too far away, could you please come here and hold the camera? I'm going to play system 4 and then the whole piece, and that should be enough to get you guys to learn the piece effectively on your own. So please hold this. Okay, so here is system number 4. I'm going to begin with the last 2 measures. Remember the one that goes like this? That's the right hand. And of course the left hand. So all together, it sounds like this. Last two measures of system number 4. Ready? And. 2, 3, 4, release. And here's the entirety of system number 4. Ready? And. 2, 3, 4, release. So now the whole piece. Here's Jingle Bells, a little bit faster just because we want to have it played merrily, as it says right below the title. So that indicates a slightly faster tempo. Here we go, from the beginning to the end. 1, 2, ready, and. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, release. Now, truthfully, it could be even faster if we're going to make it even more seasonal. So how about I try one more performance so you guys get used to the sound of it. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. And that's it. So thank you to my daughter. Thank you for volunteering to hold the camera. She says. And I hope that was enough for you guys to start learning how to play Jingle Bells on your own. So follow this methodology of breaking everything down into parts and then assemble them bit by bit, or in this case, system by system.